Yeah, I don't have a fan on my computer. It's
That's because you got a baby computer.
yeah, little
Okay.
baby M1 Pro.
Little baby. Yeah, but now there's M2, so that's not exciting anymore.
It's not
You
that
are
good.
old
M1 Pro is
school.
better than the M2 so far.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to BizDev, the podcast about developing your business. I'm your host, David Baxter. I'm joined today by my co-host. He likes that title. It makes him feel special. Gary Voigt. How's it going, man?
It's going good. How you doing? You look like you're well relaxed and mellow.
I feel rested, coming back off of vacation. So generally speaking, BizDev is about talking tech news and building your startups and building your business leadership, strategies for growth, all of that stuff. We're still new to the area, so we're trying to show people what we're all about. It sounds like a lot of disparate topics, but they all blend together pretty heavily, especially in our world.
They are all related.
So hopefully you'll join us. Hopefully you'll take a gander, and we'll go from here. So I have been out of town on a fabulous vacation for the last week. So I literally have been completely disconnected. I tell you, the best thing about going on a vacation where you're truly disconnecting, before I left, I removed Slack and my email from my home screen and turned off all notifications. That is so empowering.
Hearing you say
If you're
that kind of
doing
gives
that,
me anxiety, but at the same time, I can understand the relief.
it is really great as a business owner to be able to do that. Well, and what's really great is when you finally have built a business that allows you to go on vacation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, if you feel
For
comfortable and
years,
confident enough that it's going to
we have a
function
great
without
team,
you.
and I was able to. We met. It's not easy. I'm still to the point where it's not easy because I'm still involved in lots of little things. My chubby little fingers are in all the pies, but we met before, and this is what I was hoping would happen. Here's the things that could blow up or while I'm gone, et cetera, et cetera. They were like, "Cool, got it. Have a good time. Bye bye." And then they threw a huge rave. No, um, they they, but I was able to leave and confidently be, and I rarely ever completely turn off, and that is when I'm like, okay, I'm going to hide this, turn off notifications, and now I'm gone. And I didn't even bring this was the first time I didn't even bring my laptop. Not even. Now, I was in a place where there literally was no cell or internet connection, so I couldn't have done anything anyways. But that is a very freeing thing. And so, if you are a business owner, I guess the really reason I'm saying this is not to gloat that I got to go on vacation. It is that you, one, need to take a vacation, and two, if you don't have that team, you'll get that team, and it is a glorious moment. Because years it was just me, right? And so, if what do? You don't go on vacation. That's what you do. I didn't go on vacation. I think for like a real vacation. I think Carl, when I hired Carl in 2018, I was able to go on a vacation. So my company had been around for 5 years. So not a real vacation where I could unplug. Like I'd take little mini
Yeah.
things, but I'd always have my laptop. I'd always have my computer or my phone. And so 5 years. So if you're in that slog, it'll come and it'll be glorious. Okay. Sorry, that wasn't even on our topic list. That just happened. See? Boom, spontaneous. All right. So what did you want to talk about? Since I've been
You've
completely
been
and utterly
gone, and
disconnected, what can
let
I
me just tell
just?
you, the tech world has turned to garbage. Like the economy is falling apart, Web3 is gone, NFTs are a joke, crypto's down. So I thought we'd talk about something we could make fun of, something a little bit more lighthearted. So
That's for. Hey, speaking of crypto, so I think I've mentioned I have my little experiment right where I bought my
every time
Ethereum.
I
I
see
got
the
back.
number for the like what the shares are doing for
Oh
crypto,
my
I'm
gosh.
wondering if you're down to like $8 or if you're like negative. Do you owe like
So
Web3 money yet? Or
my wife was actually. She's like, "What happens when that goes to zero? Did they start sending you a bill?" So I think I've said this before. I bought $1,000 like I don't even know when. 18 months ago?
no,
Not even
maybe
that.
about almost a year ago. It wasn't that long ago.
About a year ago. I bought $1,000 to because I
Yeah,
was
it was like last
encouraged by
summer,
a
I
guy who
think.
was on the team
Yeah,
at the time. He's no longer with us.
I think so.
Was it? And so I always, so that it was a nice round number to see if it's gone up or down. Very easy. It went as high as 1,500, and as of yesterday, I haven't checked it today, it's worth a whopping $300. So I
Net
am
loss
killing
of
it.
700. Hey, at least you won't
$300.
get, pinged with some crazy taxes for that.
Well, yeah, it was. I don't think you get taxes unless you sell it, right?
Plus,
I don't even know.
I'm just trying to, look at any kind of silver lining for that. That's all.
There's no silver lining. No, any asset that in less than a year has dropped 70%. Well, it's worse than that because it went up to 1,500 and then dropped to 300. So I mean, wow, and that's fine.
It's funny. You
And
see
I know we've talked about that many
I'll
times.
see the tweets every now and then from people that have been what they call themselves crypto OGs, in from the beginning or whatever. And they're like, oh, these ups and downs, these fluctuations, of course it's going to happen with something this new and this vibrant, but we're just getting started. And then all the comments are like, please,
I love the word
whatever.
vibrant.
Like, this is, stop. What are you selling?
Vibrant. That is awesome. Yeah, it is. I consider, and probably I get hate mail for this, but I have always thought my wife is really has been on a quest to remove the world of multi-level marketing schemes. She's been reading about them, and the more you educate yourself about those, the scarier and creepier they seem. And I've always said, there aren't any, and she told me I'm wrong on this, but generally speaking, most of them are connected to women, and it's because women are social, and they will get together and have the parties and do this. And I was like, there really aren't any MLMs for men. And she's like, well, there are, but they're very rare. But I was like, crypto kind of sounds like one, right? When you talk to a crypto fan, they have that frothiness that an Amway salesman does.
Yep.
Right? Like, this is the greatest thing ever. And if you're not in this, man, you're missing out. Yeah. And you better come along with me. Well,
you're waiting next year when I'm going to be rich and you're still going to be poor. I would have told you. I told you. You should have got in.
I told you to get on the wagon, man. And
get in at the ground
as long
level.
as I think you are.
Yeah, my.
That's when you should always run. When they say you need to get on the ground level, that's a bad sign.
I'm not a fan of any kind of pyramid schemes or MLMs, multi-level marketing or whatever. And my dad actually, when I was a kid, got kind of pulled into the Amway thing. So yeah, it's all just bad.
Early on, anecdote. Early on, Big Pixel is 8 months old. It maybe 12. This guy says, "Hey," he comes up and he heard. He's like, "I hear about." I was at dinner. Sorry, I was at dinner at, I think it was California Pizza Kitchen. I don't know why I remember that, but we're sitting there, and this guy, I'm talking to my wife, and probably business comes up. The guy comes up and says, "Hey, I heard you talk about your business. I'd love to talk to you more about it." Well, I'm a brand new business owner, so I am just plumb tickled. Yeah, I'll talk to the wall if you're interested.
I think I know where this is going.
I'm in that I'll mow your lawn for my bill rate, right? That's the stage of business I was in. And so he's like, "Yeah, let's meet up at Panera. I'll buy you lunch and we'll talk about your business." I was like, "Oh man, I love this so much." So we get there. It's an Amway
I
sale.
thought you were just
The
going to
whole
get
thing
hit
was
with
an Amway sale.
you talked about your business for like an hour and then you get an invoice for a consulting fee because that's a thing too.
Oh no. I haven't heard that. That would be pretty brutal. No, it was. We talked about my business for about 10 seconds, and then it quickly shifted over to. Well, let me tell
Have
you.
you
What
heard about these new nutritional
I am
bars?
selling the world's greatest products. It was, oh man. So and when you're stuck in that situation, because he bought me lunch, right? So
You're
stuck.
at an in-person
And-
one-on-one timeshare pitch.
Yeah.
If anybody
Oh,
remembers
yeah.
or knows what those
and
are.
And
yeah.
you can't leave to go to
It's like
the.
a prison
Oh,
of a
man.
sales pitch
Yeah.
for like 3 hours just to get discounted Disney tickets or something.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, 90-minute presentation, and you get a free weekend. And the reason they do that is because their high pressure is so successful.
All right, so let's talk about some more stupid headsets, some goggles, VR, Oculus, whatever you want to call them, because apparently Meta has a whole bunch of prototypes of how they're going to go forward with the new Metaverse Oculus headgear, whatever you want to call it. Verge has an article, and I was reading through it, and the thing that struck me the most is just the cool names that they give them as their prototypes, whether they're cool or stupid or funny, whoever's in charge of that, or if maybe the team gets to pick one. But in the article, some of the names that they referenced for these goggles were Butterscotch, Starburst, Hollow Cake 2, and Mirror Lake. Now, Mirror Lake, I thought I heard before as like an AMD reference.
That sounds like
for a chip or
Intel's.
something.
Intel names all of their chips after lakes. Yeah.
Was it Intel?
It's a lake, and so
okay.
I can't remember the actual, but all of them are.
And then the Butterscotch and Starburst made me think of the Raspberry Pi Android stuff.
They used to name all their stuff
Wasn't
after
that a
candy.
code name too?
Until
Yeah. All
was
right.
it P? No, after P, I think, which was of course pi. They stopped using that. I think R was the first one that they stopped using candy references. So yes, I love Hollow Cake too. I think it does make me wonder what happened to the Hollow Cake 1.
Hologram.
Did the Hollow Cake 1 catch on fire and burn some guy and had to immediately it hose him down? That's the end of that one. Let's bring out the 2.
I guess the whole point of this is they're trying to blend hyper realistic graphics with a lightweight headset, but in the image they have everything that looks like from Google Glass on up to the full on giant Oculus One. So
They've got
in the prototypes they're all different, but it looks like they're getting somewhere. But at the same time, of course, people are going to throw, well, wait until Apple's comes out. Wait until
Apple's
comes
will
out. But
not be
who knows if Apple's even
on
making
the
it.
same playing field. They are aiming, from all the rumors that I have heard, they are aiming to come out with like a stopgap. It's going to be very nice. Don't get me wrong. Apple doesn't make ugly hardware, but
It'll
it will look good. But it's going to be, it's not glasses. It's going to be pass through is my guess. So it's going to be, you can't see through them, but there will be cameras that will then open up and be a screen. So you can still see, but it'll be completely opaque to the outside person. And that's the stopgap, because the technology to have a see-through screen is really, that's all brand new tech. I think it's called something like that, where they etch the glass to reflect back into your face. It's wild stuff. And they all are fighting it.
And is it like certain colors will hit certain etch marks to display in a direct, like a contrast ratio in a certain
I am not
direction
sure how it works.
versus the see-through? That
It is
sounds
really
I'll look
neat
into that.
stuff,
That
but I
sounds
think the question is can you get it? Like, they've been using this forever, these light guides or whatever they're called. If you think of the HoloLens, it's been around forever. That was Microsoft's big helmet looking thing.
Yeah.
Its field of view is something like 70 degrees. And that's really one of the weaknesses, is how do you get it where it feels like I'm looking, you know what I'm saying? It's your whole field of vision. And that's where these things often fall apart.
Yeah, well, you mentioned having the cameras, like the assistant, and that makes me think of like a lot of the newer cars will have like the 3D camera, around your car where you can see like a top-down view, and it's just connecting the ultra-wide cameras from around the edges and putting that picture together. But if you can do that through the glasses and also get a different picture in front of your face, yeah, that makes me think of like the Iron Man headset.
Yeah, I
display.
mean, that's what they're all aiming for. They all want to make Iron Man, right? Which his glasses or I guess it would be Spider-Man's glasses that he bequeaths him, right? Spoiler alert.
Edith.
Those are like what everyone thinks of when they're thinking of these glasses. But the stopgap is going to be the opaque ones. Again, think of the Oculus right now. Just much svelter, smaller, lighter. That's what Apple's going to do. And they're supposed to be extremely expensive. I will say, I think when it comes, I'm not a fan of Meta. I've made that clear before. That company has abused my trust too many times for me to be impressed by them. But I will say, Mark Zuckerberg is betting the farm on this. Tens of billions of dollars are being spent on that, and more than anybody by a long shot. And
he's pitching. He says right now he thinks they're in the middle of a big step forward towards realism, and he doesn't think it's going to be that long before they have scenes with basically perfect fidelity. Now, how do you describe perfect fidelity? Like just realism?
I think Apple called it a retina. They remember when they made that huge deal when retina displays came out? They were unperceptible. I just murdered that poor word.
Yeah.
Imperceptible? Is that the word? Wow.
Imperceivable?
Really hard to find.
Anyways,
really hard to see.
the
Couldn't see the
human eye,
pixels.
the human eye can't see
Couldn't
any
see the
clearer
pixels. That
than
was the thing.
this. Yeah.
Retina, when they came
Yeah.
out with the original, I don't remember which iPhone they branded that, the Retina screen, and at the time it was a huge jump to like 280 pixels per inch, and everybody's like, it will.
Yeah, well, it doubled it. It will, yeah, because they were scaling up to 144, and then it doubled that.
So it was like 280
So it
something,
was
and
280.
they said you're never going to get any better. And then of course Samsung says, really? Watch this, and they came out with something like 400, and it got stupider and stupider, and
Samsung's known
yeah.
for doing that though. Like here's a 12 megapixel camera that makes great images. Well, here's a 250 megapixel
That makes bad
camera.
images.
Eat that, Apple. It's like, yeah, they all look like crap, but you could zoom in.
yeah,
for an
and
hour.
you can see one big fuzzy pixel. It's glorious, but.
You could see the mailbox that the guys live 15 streets away from.
That I give them credit for the fact that boy they're putting where their money where their mouth is, and I think they are like, this is the future. That
I think this is their last stand, though. I mean, they
they
have,
have
to
to
do
break
something.
something because the golden goose is as big as it's going to get, which is ginormous.
They put a lot of emphasis on the whole metaverse and the Web3 thing. And in my opinion, it seems like the Web3 and the metaverse kind of spawned in the same
That was not an
time frame,
accident.
which in my mind makes them kind of related because of the way they were trying to say, you know, you'll live in the metaverse, you'll shop in the metaverse, you'll bank in the metaverse. And so I'm assuming that that meant like the whole Web3 financial, you know, connection there. And then with everything kind of going on now with crypto crashing and everything, it seems to me like metaverse is going down with it, but that's just my perception
I
from an
think-
outside view. So I'm thinking they do need to kind of have something break through that's going to be like, look what we created. We told you this is going to be great. And people will get on board in some way. Because right now, everything I'm hearing about the metaverse is just all bad. Like, just,
It was an idea that was floated too
bad.
early. It is the future. I have zero doubt in my mind that the idea of Ready Player One, that concept, where everybody puts on goggles to escape, that is coming. It's just a matter of time. Now, it might be 20, 30 years, right? When the tech and all of that munges together. I mean, this is like the Palm Pilot coming out in the late 90s and saying, you know, you're going to be carrying one of these in your pocket and it's going to change your life. Your whole world's going to be in here. And everybody looked at that thing and said, absolutely not. This is a piece of trash, except for the few nerds, right? The few nerds. And then they're step by step. You had all of, I mean, it's the same flow that phones went through. And now everyone has to have a phone in their pocket at all times, or they're feel like they get all jittery. And they're thinking that the glasses will be the thing that replaces the phone eventually.
just the next.
It's the next
extension.
big thing. And eventually it'll become contact lenses. But again, that might not be in my lifetime.
Oh no, that actually sounds pretty cool.
I mean, imagine you just boom. These are permanent contact lenses that everything I see has an overlay in the real world, and when I want to, they can become opaque. And I'm in, I'm in a Fortnite-like world that has everything I ever wanted in it, and I can be super svelte and sexy, or I can be a dinosaur. I mean, whatever. I'm just
Yeah, or eventually they could just, put plugs in the back of our head, put us in a little pool of pink goo, and turn us into batteries, and we could live in the
We could.
metaverse, kind of like the Matrix.
we
We were talking about that in the previous podcast about
I
AI and the Matrix and stuff, but
I think it's very cool, and I'm excited to see the next, I'd say 5 years, when they figure out these light guides and light waves or whatever they're called, and they get that really really solid. I mean, the big helmets they're making now are the '80s cell phone. That's what. Remember those, the ones that were in a briefcase?
yeah, the car phone.
Yeah, you had a briefcase,
Or
and it was the size of your head, and it was 4 inches thick because the battery was so bad. But when people were on it, they were the coolest, right? You're on a cell phone or cellular telephone. You are so cool. That's what we're looking at now. That's what the Quest is now. It will get better. Anyway, and I think that NFTs and Web3 and all of that are all stuck together. I think that blockchain will be a big part of all of this. Again, I don't think it's time yet, but it will be. And I think that it's going to be a very interesting world that my grandchildren are going to play in. For me, I'll be the old, get off my lawn, right? I'll be so old and, won't have a clue what's going on. I've always said
What were you
that,
saying? Show me how to do that
how do you do
again?
that?
What did you press? Where? Oh, you don't press anything? You just think it?
You just
Oh,
think or
okay.
talk it. What? You talk it. I've always said when we get rid of keyboards is when I get off the tech train. When we're no longer typing the
Okay.
commands, right? It's all just talking to it. That's going to be such a weird shift that I'm not going to be ready for. What do you mean? I talk to it. I'm uncomfortable talking to Siri now. So anyway,
Yeah, I don't talk to Siri nearly as much as I think most people do. It's very rare. The only thing that I'll consistently ask her to do is set a timer for something.
timers, and sometimes we will
That's
look
about it.
things up. Like, hey, who sang this? Like Shazam, we will do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We Shazam it, and then we will ask random questions at my house.
All right. So a topic I did want to get into is encouraging growth inside the company. And I want to get into this because today we are down a couple of devs, and that doesn't mean down in a bad way.
We
It's
shot
actually-
them out back.
Yeah, no, it's a training day, but without Denzel Washington or Ethan Hawke. So we recently started pushing our devs to find a day on their schedule where they might have some free time in between projects. Pick a subject matter, whether it's something having to do with the code base that they use, or if it's a new code, or if it's a new third-party app, or something that they can, train, learn, maybe get an online class for or something. Nothing ridiculous like a master class from Gordon Ramsay, but something related to what they do and what they want to learn about, so they could take the day and kind of nurture that hunger, that drive to learn.
So
And-
go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to say that seems to have really taken off. It seemed to be really well received by our devs, and they were looking forward to it and all trying to schedule basically the same day. So we had to kind of have them, talk to each other and see who can do what days or whatever. But they all jumped on board real quick. So I'm curious to see how that's going to turn out, what they're learning and how it's going to affect us.
This month they're all studying database goodies. They all wanted to get better at databases, which I'm fine with because we do them so much. So it's funny you say that though, because we came up with the idea of a training day because it's important to keep growing and improving yourself. And most people don't take the time. Here's what's funny about it. Everyone was excited about it and no one signed up. So here's the thing that we learned, and this has been true on several things when we did our retirement stuff, when we did the this training thing, all of the little perks and things that we do, everyone loves them, but there's no follow through. If you really want to show your employees that you want them to grow, you have to do it. You have to take, and so Jen, my wife who does HR, she is calling them every month to make sure that they schedule a training day and that they get their training approved because they won't do it otherwise. And I get it, they're busy.
Oh no, I was going to say
you
it's
are.
not like they don't want to.
Yeah, they're busy. It's not like they love the idea of it,
It might
but
just slip their head.
I forgot. Sorry. So we have to, and that follow through is what really separates a good perk from a bad perk. When you're running your business, you've got to make sure that you have someone. In my case, it's my lovely wife, who everyone loves, much better than me.
Yes, that is true.
So
She is the better Baxter.
oh, no question. So she is the one that not calls them. She emails them every month and says, "Hey, what are you going to do for training this month?" And then the process is they go and find something. We get it approved by me or another dev, and then they go forth and have a day, and we pay for the training. That's how it works. So yeah, it's been funny how perks, and it was the same thing with retirement. Everybody's like, "Oh man, yes, thanks." Right? We're in a small company. We started doing retirement stuff. Yeah. It took 6-8 weeks to get everyone signed up, and we have a tiny company. It was amazing. We had some people that are like, "Bam, done." Right? I'm ready. Sign me up. Ready to go.
Yep.
And that was you. And then we had some people. I think we still have one person who still had. They've shown interest, but they won't do it.
They probably still have the email in their inbox where all they got to do is like sign up, like actually go
Yeah.
get the PDF to to e-sign.
sign it and all that. It's just funny. So I would say as a business owner, make sure you follow up on that. Because another thing that we did, and this fell through horribly. And again, follow through. I set up a benevolence fund and I said, hey, if you know of anyone who needs some help, we'd love to help. Yeah, just privately reach out to me. We'll make sure it gets taken care of, right? Small amounts. Oh, that's a great. It's been over a year and not a single thing because they've all forgotten about it, even though it's in
That's
our
true.
ClickUp,
Yeah.
right? No one has a clue that we do that, and that's fine. But that was one of the things that I didn't follow up well on, and it just kind of it's still there, still can be used, but no one does it. And I don't
we
think
also just started just like monthly lunches over Zoom. Maybe we'll bring up these things every month just to kind of don't
no,
forget.
that's a good idea.
You got
Yeah,
these,
the monthly
other
lunches.
things.
I love that. That's now permanently on the calendar, and that's if you're running a remote company, man, I cannot suggest that enough. Another thing that I started doing.
I would say it's essential. It's because it's cool to see.
Well, we did it
everybody's
for a
face
long
and just
time. We
kinda
didn't do
chit-chat and hang
that.
out.
And for
Yeah.
years, couple years, we probably had a remote team without any of that. And it makes a huge difference. The other thing we started doing was weekly check-ins, where I send emails out to all of our team to just see how they're doing. And the response to that has been pretty amazing. Now, I will totally tell you that I stole that from Reed Eula Milner. He that's an old joke. You
Mr.
have to go
Terms and
listen to an
Conditions.
old
Yeah.
Mr. Terms and Conditions, the most boring human you've ever met. He's also my marketing guy.
Says
His
great
lovely
things
wife
about our-
sends. That's right. we
Just
do
a
good
joke,
marketing.
Reed.
Just
Just
don't
a
have a
joke,
meeting
Reed.
with him. It's much better than that. You should meet with his lovely wife. She was sending so. We found she was sending out emails to their staff, and I read one, and I was like, "This is amazing." So I totally stole it from them, and I think everyone else should steal it from her as well. Just checking
quick
in.
little mental health check-ins that
Yep.
probably go a long way. Even if there's no response, just to see that you care enough to check is probably at least a good little
Yeah,
nudge
I'd
in
say-
a positive direction there.
Half the people respond. They'll reply because they're full of little questions, right? How are you doing? How's your stress levels? That kind of thing. And especially now, I think mental health. We're talking about the economy, and we don't want to have a depressing podcast here, but it's not great, right? And it's going to get worse, especially if you're a crypto guy. But
There's worse.
stress is real, and someone said it was in my business group.
Yeah. No matter how much
I'm
you
gonna-
try to ignore it, it does still affect you physically. I mean, you could try to tough guy it away all you want in your head, but it'll
Oh
get
yeah,
you.
there's no tough guy in stress that way. But they were saying something about from a pure business perspective, single divorce, costs like 6 months of productivity for
From
the
an
person
employee.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the idea from the business perspective is if you can do anything to help them, like if you paid for marriage counseling, this is a true statement. If you literally paid their marriage counseling and kept them together, it would save you money. Now, I'm not saying everybody should go pay for marriage counseling, but from a business perspective, it actually will save you money. And this
Just another
mental health
example of how
stuff is-
important, the mental health aspect of
Yeah, I
running
mean,
businesses.
divorce is an extreme example, but if you're burnt out, you're working too many hours, and your boss is oblivious to it,
Yeah.
you're gonna leave. You're just gonna leave. And right now, there's so many jobs floating around. We're hiring right now, and it's a nightmare because there's tons of people who apply, but by the time you're like, oh, I'd like to interview you, they've been hired up, gone. They've already taken another offer that you couldn't have gotten that fast because you'd already been talking to them, right? Anyway,
One other thing
It's
I
worth-
just wanted to
worth
mention
doing.
real quick.
yeah.
In a previous podcast, we talked about our bug-free bonus that we were going to start because we were talking about the importance of testing when we're releasing products. And while you were gone, you didn't get to witness this in person, but at least you came back to
Nope.
the good news. We had 2 bug-free releases. So
Two bug-free releases. Yeah,
2
that's
bug-free releases.
so.
That's a good feeling.
For those who didn't hear what that is, so we have a bounty program at Big Pixel that if a build goes out to a client, either to test or production, depending, it's variable, and the client does not find a bug within a reasonable amount of time, then we call that a zero bug release, and they're incentivized to do that. All the testers who were involved in that release get a little something something, and they don't need it. It was funny. Speaking of follow through, some of the testers didn't want us to do it. They're like, "This is my job. Why are you incentivizing my job?" And I was like, "Because we're trying to ask for a very difficult standard here. Zero bugs is often impossible. So, and if they find a bug, that doesn't mean you didn't do your job, right? We're still proud of you. We still are glad you're here. We're still paying your salary. But if the build goes out and it is perfect, like we just happen to have a couple last week,
We just need to recognize
you deserve
that.
some extra.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you should be recognized. That's where that comes from. So, much to their chagrin, they get a little something something. I know they complain and then they say thanks. But yeah, zero bug builds. That's very exciting for me, and it was our first one. We've only been doing it a couple weeks, so
Yeah.
think
No, it
we
was just
mentioned 2
ironic
weeks
that
ago.
as soon as we put it in place and you're like, let's see if this happens, then you get to take a vacation and it happens. So
well, it just shows you how useless I am around this company.
what do you call yourself?
I don't need to
Useless
be here. I'll go back.
overhead?
I'll go useless overhead. That's what it says on my Slack. If you hover over my name, it says useless overhead. That's my unofficial title. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
We already kind of
Bad
talked
trip.
about your vacation. So I thought if you wanted to close out with any other besides, like, just how does it feel coming back? Have you approached, other than the 500 emails in your inbox, have you kind of approached any part of today with like a different perspective or a refreshed perspective or something that's like, I don't know, maybe rejuvenated something? Or are you just like, it stinks to get back to work?
No, I didn't. I didn't feel that.
I didn't think you would, but I know there's a lot of
but
people
I
that probably
didn't-
do come back from vacation going, I should have stayed.
Sure. Well, I mean, everyone wants to stay, and you know, you're in a beautiful locale. You don't want to leave it, but I think I'm ready to go. That's really what it comes down to. Is I feel ready to go. I want to get going and get stuff moving and sell and all that stuff, and I think that's where I'm at on that. So yeah, so it's good. I'm ready to get going. I'm ready. I think it's gonna be good. I think we're done for this one.
Well, I'm
though.
glad you had.
Oh, well, sorry. I cut you right off, didn't I? Sorry.
No
Didn't I
problem.
said my part? Now you say your part.
I'm glad you had a great vacation and you came back. I'm gonna assume that it's energized since you just said you're ready to get going.
I'm ready. I want to get moving. I want to get going. I'm ready to go. So yeah, it's
for
nice.
small business owners or startups that can actually take a vacation, you recommend? How many out of 10?
I would. My business group C12 says that if you are a business owner, you need to take a week off every quarter.
Every quarter.
Every quarter. That is what they recommend because you need to recharge. And since as the leader, quote unquote, your job is completely cerebral, right? You're not digging ditches. You're not doing any of this. And so you need to rest that brain and you need to recharge. They recommend every quarter. And now I don't think I've ever done that, ever, especially not one that I fully unplugged. I never have done that. But I am aiming to take more time off because if I'm run down, it flows downhill, right? Everyone feels that. If I'm stressed and overworked, everyone else is going to feel that. And that's important. And it also sets the standard for your people. Vacations are necessary for every person in your organization. And if you're never taking one as the business owner, they aren't either. So you've got to set that precedent that it's okay to take time off. It's expected. Get out of the office. And if you're not doing that, no one will. And so I think for a lot of reasons, you've got to find the time to, even if it's a little mini vacation, what we usually do is we'll take an Airbnb somewhere nearby. I'll leave on a Wednesday and I'll work half a day the rest of the week. And my kids will just be relaxing and whatever. And I'll work till noon or 1. And then I disappear for a few hours. Even doing that is better than nothing. So highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Vacations, 10 out of 10. Go for it.
I missed that. I was on Google Calendar scheduling my next vacation.
Yeah, I think it's true. I don't know when the last time you took a vacation. It's time, man. Come on.
All right, I'll take your advice then. Get something. See.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. This has been fun. Hopefully you learned something or were entertained by Gary's rambling.
All right. No, I was just going to say if anybody had any questions or comments or wanted to get in touch with us in any way, hello@thebigpixel.net. That's hello@thebigpixel.net. Also, you can check this out on YouTube and leave a comment there. And with that said, there'll be links to what we talked about today would be the Verge article with Mark Zuckerberg and his many, many, many stupid headsets. So
Mini goggles.
yeah. After that, I guess we'll say goodbye and see you next week.
All right. Thank you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right. See you.